Hello YouTube, Felix here, Salvage Title Approaches, and today is a little bit of a different video. Usually I'm working on cars, but this still has an engine on it, and it's a lawnmower. So I was going to show you that my lawnmower wasn't starting and how to do the maintenance on it to get it started again, but for some reason it started again. And I was thinking it was because I tipped it over and probably the gas flooded it, or I overfilled the gas tank. But if your mower doesn't start, here's a couple things you could change as maintenance to get it running again. So first things first, if it's not starting, you check if it has some gas in the tank, and mine is over level, which might explain why it had a hard time starting, especially in the heat. But once you're doing maintenance, the first thing you should do, if you haven't already thrown away your manual, is check your manual, which is what I'm doing. And I didn't know what parts to look for because there's kind of different model numbers, and I don't know what model mine was, but I kind of just winged it, seeing that, and kind of knew what to do. So as we saw, it was really quick, but this takes SAE viscosity, SAE 30 viscosity. Right now I'll show you the oil. After 2.5 years of using this thing, it's kind of black, so I was just going to change it. And there is like a siphoning pump that you can buy. It's in the same section as Home Depot because I bought my parts at Home Depot, where you could siphon out the oil. But as you can see, I just picked it up and dumped it into the pan. Whether it gets all the oil out, I don't know, but it got enough out, and you can see it all in the pan. So I feel like it's good enough. And if I were more frequent with my oil changes, then it wouldn't be so black. So I'll probably do another oil change sooner than I did this time. So it will eventually rotate everything out. And there's all the oil, and usually I like to pour all my used oil on endangered species animals, but today I'm going to put it in a container and probably go to O'Reilly's later on and make sure to drop the lid. That way it makes sure it spills everywhere on my way to AutoZone, you know. But it wasn't that much. These things don't take too much. If you saw in the book, I think it was 15 ounces or something of the sort. So, and there might still be residual oil in there, so you just kind of want to make sure to pay attention. And fortunately you have a dipstick, so you just want to make sure it's in the level. And to open the oil, you know, you got to use a rusty nail. Nothing like, I got to give the oil some tetanus first before I fill it up in my engine, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was just checking the levels on the bottle, you know, making sure I wasn't overfilling it. And then just check the dipstick, make sure it's in between the levels, and you're good. Nothing, you know, and it's kind of hard to see. I saw it, but hopefully with the background of the paper towel it kind of showed. But yeah, you can kind of see it's right on the in between the dots on the tire end. So with that, we're done with the oil. Next key maintenance is your air filter, which is just right here. It pops right off by hand. Nothing really to it, and it's kind of near the gas cap, so in relationship to the gas cap, that's where it is. Just pop that open and it just pulls right out. There's nothing really to it. And that was the part number. And AutoZone, it was a perfect match for the part number. AutoZone, whoops, my bad, Home Depot. Funny enough, the original air filter for some reason felt of stronger quality, but they look the same and it has the same part number. So I don't know if it was a different manufacturer or something, but yeah, it fit right in like a charm. So there's nothing to it. But it's always good to also compare your new and your old parts. Just plugs right back in, and you just pop the cap right in. So that does the oil change, and now we're doing the air filter, and last but not least is the spark plug. Now the spark plug is located in the front of the engine, I guess you could say. The front, yeah. And there's a little tube on it, and I've already taken it off, so it might be harder for you to take it off. You might need some pliers to pull it off, but you'll get the idea. It just comes right off, and then there's your spark plug. You'll just need to get your 5/8 spark plug socket. Maybe you could use a deep socket, but there's special sockets for it where it grabs it for you. And I just loosened it, got the ratchet, and turn reverse clockwise. Boop, break it, and then the rest you can just kind of do by hand. It's always better to do things by hand. You don't want to accidentally overpower and strip something. But funny enough, as I was looking at the parts book, I didn't have a perfect match on this part number. As you can see, it's not the one that if you paused and looked at your owner's manual, it was different. But I actually read for the first time in my life, and I looked, It said it replaces Champion spark plugs RC12YC. So I was like, oh wow, perfect. Well, then this should be a perfect match. No problems. It said to gap it, by the way, and I was like, that ain't gonna happen. I was checking the little, I guess it's the anode or whatever it was, to the new one. So I have a Briggs Stratton spark plug, and this is a Champion one, and it's a little bit bigger, but the gap looked the same and the length looked the same, so I was just gonna yeet it in there and call it a day. But since the old spark plug I think is good, I'm gonna save it just for a rainy day, just in case. And I'm just going to also thread it by hand first, because like I said earlier, you don't want to overpower these things. I mean, they're built to handle abuse, but still, it's just better to do things that way. You can feel it going in smoothly, and you're not cross-threading anything. And yeah, pretty much that. So, and it does take a little bit of a while to just thread it in there. And once you feel it getting tough, you use your extension with the socket on it, and then to give it the final your torque, I guess. I don't know what the real torque is, but you just give it till it stops, and then one more oomph, and it's good to go. And that was the last oomph. Took a little bit to pull it off, but yep. And just put the little, I guess the coil pack, I guess that's the equivalent of the coil pack, back on it. And yeah, that's it. Simple. I just learned to do this from reading the manual, and it took me no time at all to do. So funny enough, even though I changed everything and it started in the beginning, even though I changed all those parts, for some reason it didn't want to start. So here's the example of it not wanting to start for some reason. But I was like, what the heck? After doing all this work, I broke it even further. But later on, I do get it to start. I think something about the heat, and I think over flooding my engine with gasoline, it does something, or maybe vapor locks the engine somehow or something. But right here, I did get it started, and I did want it to let it run just a little bit, just to make sure it could stay running. But hopefully you found this very informative. If your lawnmower doesn't start, it's possible you overfilled it with gas, or perhaps you tipped the engine cleaning underneath where the propeller blade is, and the gasoline got into the spark plug, because it was wet. The spark plug was wet when I pulled it. But if not, this hopefully taught you how to do a little bit of basic maintenance on your lawnmower.